Hey guys, tonight I want to tell you something that's been sitting in my chest for years. My name's Tom. I'm 57 now, semi-retired from the HVAC business, and more comfortable these days fixing leaky pipes than facing my own past. But the thing that's been tugging like a thread on a well-worn sleeve is this last fall. My daughter pulled my old high school jacket from a dusty box in the garage, and she wore it just like that, like it meant nothing. But to me, it was a doorway. That jacket never really fit right, not just on her, on me. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I always love seeing that. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let me take you into the heart of it all. It was a Saturday afternoon when she found it. The box was labeled Dad's Crap. Do not toss in my wife's handwriting. I was cleaning the garage half-heartedly, mostly moving junk from one spot to another. And there she was, Maya. My daughter lifting that old varsity jacket out of the box like it was treasure. The thing still smelled like a combination of old liniment and cheap aftershave. She didn't flinch, just shrugged into it, the sleeves swallowing her arms. And she looked at me with this casual grin and said, "You were skinnier than I thought." I laughed. Kind of. That jacket's got stories. I told her. She raised an eyebrow, like what I waved her off. Like things you don't want to know until you're at least 40. But that wasn't true. The truth is, I've been dying to tell someone what that jacket meant. I just never thought it would be her. Or that she'd be the one to drag the memories out of me just by wearing it. She wore it to school the next day. I didn't expect that. And I definitely didn't expect the gut punch I felt when I saw her walk out the front door. My old name stitched across her back like a ghost. She didn't ask, didn't need to. That's Maya, always sure-footed, always walking straight into things. I admire that. I also envy it. When I was her age, I walked around with a cracked mask I thought was bulletproof. The jacket. It was never just cloth. Not to me. Back then, it stood for something I wanted people to believe about me. Confidence, popularity, stability. But underneath, I was the guy who spent third period hiding in the bathroom, some days just to breathe. The sleeves were too long, even when I first got it. But I rolled them up and strutted down the hall like I owned the place. That's the thing about high school, everyone's faking it. But you think you're the only one. There's this moment. I remember it like static. Junior year. Football game. Friday night. I wasn't even playing. Just standing on the sidelines with the team. Jacket zipped to my chin. Hands shoved in the pockets. Some sophomore came by and slapped me on the back like we were best friends. I still don't remember his name. But for a second, I believed I mattered. That jacket made me feel seen. Of course, no one saw the rest. The panic attacks I called just tired. The way I kept my Walkman on, even when it wasn't playing, just so I wouldn't have to make conversation. Or how I used to retie my shoelaces 3 times before gym class, like if I didn't, something bad would happen. Nobody knew that. They just saw the jacket. It's funny. Maya wears it now with this effortless swagger, like she's rewriting its history. And maybe she is. Maybe that's what kids do. They take the things we broke and make them beautiful again. But that night, after she wore it to school, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the things sewn into those seams, things I'd locked away, things I never planned to explain. And I'll be honest, part of me was scared she'd find out what kind of man I really was back then. We're in the back lot of the high school, the sun barely up, and I'm holding a crumpled paper cup of diner coffee that tastes like burnt hope. Maggie's beside me, barefoot on the concrete, her arms crossed tight over her chest like she's trying to hold in all the words she didn't say last night. She's 17. I'm 46. And somehow, we are both lost at the same time. Last night, she slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. This morning, she's silent. That kind of silence that isn't empty, it's loaded, sharp. I could tell she didn't sleep. Her mascara's smudged from where she must have rubbed her eyes. And she's wearing my old gray hoodie with the torn cuff like it's armor. That hoodie used to hang off her like a blanket. Now it fits. I say something stupid, like always. I think it was, "You hungry?" which in dad code means, "Please forgive me, even though I have no clue how to say sorry, right?" She shrugs. I take that as a yes and drive us to the one place I know that hasn't changed since 1992, the diner with the jukebox that only plays static now. Maggie orders toast. Just toast. No butter, no jam. Just dry, pale bread. And I swear, it's like she's making a statement. I eat like it's a distraction, but I keep glancing up at her, and she keeps not looking at me. This was supposed to be the morning I told her about the divorce papers. Her mom and we'd decided to stop pretending. We'd been roommates for 5 years with matching calendars and opposite sleeping schedules. The love ran out, and neither of us noticed until we tripped over it one day. But now, Maggie's toast has gone cold, and I still haven't found the courage to break her again. Instead, I ask if she wants to stop by the lake, the one we used to go to when she was a kid. She doesn't answer, but she picks up her phone and types something I'll never see. I drive anyway. The lake hasn't changed much. The dock's a little more splintered. The water's still stubbornly brown. We sit at the edge of the dock, shoes off, legs dangling, and I remember when her feet barely touch the edge. She finally says, "Why now?" And I know she doesn't mean the lake. I stall. "You remember when you were 9 and we built that kite out of trash bags and sticks?" She smirks. "Just barely. It crashed into the neighbor's windshield." Yeah, I laugh and I blame the wind. There's a beat of stillness. Then she says, "You're blaming the wind now, too. Aren't you God?" She's sharper than I give her credit for. I nod. "It wasn't one thing," I say. "It was 1,000 quiet things." She looks away, toward the horizon, and her voice is soft. "So it just fades?" "I don't know," I say. I think sometimes people stop holding on without realizing it. That's when she starts crying. And I don't know if it's because I told the truth or because I waited too long to tell it. I reach for her hand, and for once, she lets me. We sit like that for a while, and for the first time in months, there's no arguing, no silence that feels like punishment. Just this raw, fragile truce between a father and a daughter who are both figuring out how to mourn a family that still technically exists. I think to myself, maybe this is what healing looks like. Not grand gestures, not fixed things, just sitting beside someone you love, knowing you broke something and they stayed anyway. And just when I think we might be okay, she asks a question that cuts clean through my ribs. "Did you ever stop loving Mom?" I inhale like I'm about to lie. Then I exhale the truth. No. She doesn't say anything. Doesn't need to. But I can feel it. In the way she squeezes my hand. Like maybe that was the only answer she needed to believe we're still human in all this. The wind picks up, rustling the trees behind us. And suddenly it's fall again. And the years feel like they're stacking on my shoulders. I don't know how to fix this. But I think maybe I don't need to fix it all at once. Maybe I just need to stay. That night, I sleep on the couch. Maggie disappears into her room without a word. The house is quiet again, but not angry quiet. Tired quiet, like it's just exhaled. I glance at the fridge as I pass by. There's a note taped there. It's her handwriting. "Thanks for not making me eat the toast." I laugh. It's small and stupid and perfect. But then I see the corner of a legal envelope sticking out from under the toaster, the one I left there by mistake. I forgot to hide the divorce papers, and tomorrow I'll have to explain everything I still haven't said. I wake up on the couch to the faint clatter of dishes and a soft curse word I pretended not to hear. Maggie's in the kitchen, trying to make eggs, I think. And the smell is somewhere between breakfast and a mild electrical fire. I don't move. I just watch. There's something about seeing your kid moving around in the morning light. Messy bun, hoodie slipping off one shoulder, squinting at the stove like it personally offended her that makes you ache a little. Not from pain, from the weight of time, from knowing you missed too many of these mornings. She glances over and notices I'm awake. Don't get up. I've almost figured out how not to poison us. I smile, and it's the first one that doesn't feel like a performance in weeks. Reckless optimism. I say, that's the spirit. She shakes her head, but she's smiling too. It's crooked and brief. Like she's not quite ready to forgive me, but she might consider it if the eggs don't kill us. I get up anyway, stretch, and head into the kitchen, mostly to save the pan. She hands me the spatula like it's a peace offering, and I take it without comment. We eat at the counter. She kicks my foot under the stool, lightly, a habit from when she was little and wanted my attention. I'm about to ask how school's going, but then I remember I might not be the kind of parent who gets that answer anymore. Instead, I say, I left something on the counter last night. Did you see it? She nods, doesn't look up from her plate. And now we're here, the moment, the envelope, the whole ugly truth sitting between us like the third chair at the table. You want to talk about it, I ask. Gently. She shrugs. What's there to talk about? I figured it was coming. Oof. That one hurts. Still, I say, you deserve to hear it from me, before you found it in a pile of junk mail. She finally looks at me. Her eyes are tired, older than they should be. I used to think kids were made of rubber, bouncing back from anything. Turns out, they're made of glass, too. Especially the parts you can't see. You and Mom, do you hate each other now, she asks. I shake my head. No, not at all. That's the thing. We don't fight. We don't yell. We just don't connect. Haven't in a long time? She frowns. So you just gave up? I want to argue. I want to say we tried. That we went to counseling. That we had late night talks and cold silences and hopeful Tuesdays that fizzled out by Thursday. But I don't say any of that. Instead, I admit the one thing that feels like the real answer. We stopped being brave. She tilts her head. What does that mean? It means, I say, we got tired of trying. Not because we didn't love each other, but because loving each other started to feel like work we didn't know how to do anymore. She's quiet again. This time, it's not angry silence. It's processing silence, like she's turning my words over, seeing if they fit the puzzle she's been building in her head. After a while, she says, you know I found that old camcorder? Last month I blink? No, I didn't. I watched some of the tapes. She says, you used to make pancakes in your boxers. You and Mom used to dance in the living room like idiots. I laugh, because it's true. That living room saw more barefoot dance moves and pancake disasters than it ever saw arguments. She adds, it didn't look like people who'd end up like this. No, I whisper. It didn't feel like it either. There's a beat. Then she says, can we still be a family? I swallow. Hard. Yes, I say. It'll look different. But yes, she nods, then stands up, plate in hand. As she rinses it, she says over her shoulder, you should have told me sooner. I know that. But what I say is, I was scared you'd hate me. She turns, drying her hands, and says, I was scared you already stopped caring. The air feels thick again, like we're both balancing on the edge of something too honest. So I do the only thing I can. I walk over and I hug her, tight, like she's still 5 years old and scared of the dark. And she hugs me back. No words, just arms, just presence. Later that afternoon, we sit on the porch. It's overcast, the kind of gray that softens the world. I bring up the idea of counseling. Not for her, for me, for the whole family. If we want it, she doesn't say no. And I take that as a yes. But even as we talk, even as things feel okay for the first time in weeks, I can't shake this one question she hasn't asked. Where does this leave her and her mom? That question's coming. I can feel it. The question doesn't come right away, but I see it behind her eyes every time we pause. It's not just curiosity, it's worry. She's trying to figure out where she fits now in this new puzzle we've given her without warning. The next morning, I'm in the garage, pretending to reorganize the shelves. Maggie comes out holding her coffee cup like it's a peace treaty. She sits on the step, legs tucked under her hoodie, hair still wet from the shower. You guys decide who's moving out yet, she asks, like she's asking about the weather. There it is. I turn, holding an old wrench like it holds answers. We've talked about it. It'll probably be me. She nods slowly. Okay, just okay. Yeah, she says. I guess it makes sense. Mom's always been the one who knows when the towels need washing. It's such a ridiculous sentence. I almost laugh, but I don't, because it's loaded with something else. Something that says she's not mad. She's just adjusting. I'll still be around, I say. I mean that. Not just around, but present. She sips her coffee. You're here now? I want to stay that way. And then, without looking at me, she says, you used to say that when I was little. I'll be there, I promise. Then work called. Ooh. Second time she's knocked the wind out of me in as many days. I know. I say. I hate how many birthdays I spent on flights, or how many recitals I missed because I thought being a provider was enough. You weren't a bad dad, she says quietly. You were just late. That one lands harder than if she'd yelled. She's not accusing. She's naming a truth we both danced around for too long. I sit beside her, and we stare at the garage floor like it's about to offer us wisdom. The cobweb in the corner catches the light. Dust floats lazily between us. Everything feels still, I think. I say slowly. The hardest part of all this isn't splitting up. It's knowing how many versions of you I missed while I was trying to be a version of me I didn't even like. Her eyes flick over to me. So why now I know what she means. Why the divorce? Why the change? Why not just ride the rest of it out? Because I don't want to keep pretending I'm someone I'm not, I say. And I don't want you to think that's what adulthood is. She considers that. I don't know if I'm mad at you or proud of you. Fair, I say. I'm not always sure which one I feel either. We sit in that gray space between resentment and forgiveness. It's not warm, but it's not cold either. Like stepping into a room that's been locked for a while, you just need a minute to breathe in it. Later that day, her mom comes by to pick her up for dinner. It's awkward. I mean, how could it not be? We nod at each other like coworkers at a conference. Maggie walks between us like a diplomat carrying emotional Tupperware between divided nations. But then something unexpected happens as they're leaving. Her mom pauses at the door and says, "Thanks for talking to her." She seems clearer. I nod. We both needed it. She gives me a look. Not a mean one. Not even a cold one. Just tired. Like she's also been carrying years of silence. And maybe this unraveling is also a release. And then she says, "We did okay, didn't we?" With her? I look at Maggie in the car, fiddling with the radio like it's a spaceship. "Yeah," I say. She's the best part of us. We don't hug. We don't say anything else. But something unspoken passes between us, like air finally moving in a stale room. That night, I sit on the edge of the bed I haven't shared with anyone in months, and I open my laptop. I look at an apartment listing 5 blocks from here. Nothing fancy, just enough, close enough to walk. And as I'm staring at the photos of a blank, beige living room, I picture Maggie sitting on the floor there, eating pizza, asking if she can paint the wall, laughing at how echoey it sounds when the place is still empty. It doesn't feel like loss. It feels like a beginning I never thought I'd be brave enough to make. But then, as I'm closing the laptop, I catch a glimpse of something tucked into the edge of my nightstand. A note, torn at the corner, folded once. It's not recent. It's the one she wrote me years ago, the one she taped to the fridge the day I missed her solo. It just said, "I looked for you in the crowd. You weren't there." And suddenly, I remember everything. I don't open the note. I don't need to. The words are burned into the part of my brain where shame lives. It's strange how memory works. One little square of folded paper, and suddenly I'm back in that gymnasium. The air thick with sweat and anticipation. Plastic chairs scraping against the floor. I wasn't there, but my imagination's filled it in so many times. It may as well be real. I was in Phoenix, or maybe it was Denver. Some client dinner with steak too tough and wine too red. And somewhere between the second course and the dessert, I didn't finish. She stood on a stage wearing that red dress we bought together, waiting for my face in the crowd. But I wasn't there. And worse, I'd promised I would be. That's the part that gets me. Not the absence, but the betrayal of hope. Because when you promise a kid something, even if they don't say it out loud, they believe you with their whole chest. They hang everything on it. And when you don't show up, something shifts. Not loudly, quietly, like a door slowly closing behind you. That night, after finding the note again, I do something stupid, or maybe brave. Maybe it's both. I call her. It rings twice before she answers. "Hey, everything okay?" "Yeah," I say. "I just found something. Something you wrote me years ago." A pause. The fridge note. I laugh, but it catches. "You remember it?" "I was 12, she says. "You never forget the first time your heart breaks." She says it without malice. That's what kills me. If she were yelling, I could brace for it, but this calm is sharper. "I'm sorry," I whisper. There's a breath on the line. I know. I sit with that. Because forgiveness doesn't always come in a parade. Sometimes it tiptoes in and sits beside you, not saying much, just keeping you company while you ache. I wish I could go back. I tell her, I don't. She says, "If you hadn't missed that recital, maybe I wouldn't have learned how to stand alone." And I think I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. She asks if I'm okay, and I say yes. But it comes out crooked. I think I'm just finally cleaning out all the corners. I say, the emotional kind. Finding things I forgot I'd buried. She hums. That's good. Dust those shelves. We talk a little more about small things. The weather, her school projects, a funny dog she saw on the street. She still sends me photos of random dogs like we're in some ongoing contest of who finds the weirdest one. Before she hangs up, she says, "Hey, Dad. Yeah, I saw an apartment near campus. Has a weird lime green kitchen. I kinda love it. Think I'm gonna go for it." I nod, even though she can't see me. "That's great, Mags, really great. Maybe you can come see it sometime." And my heart, that traitorous lump, decides to skip a beat. I'd love that. She's quiet for a second. "You can bring that old jazz vinyl I used to hate. I think I'm finally ready to understand why you loved it so much." I laugh. It's about time. Coltrane's not going to wait forever. After we hang up, I sit there in the dark, the note still between my fingers. I don't put it back in the drawer. I tear it up. Not because I want to forget, because I think it's finally okay to let it go. That night, I sleep better than I have in weeks. And the next morning, I find myself doing something odd. I drive past Maggie's high school. I don't even mean to. I'm just on autopilot, I guess. The place looks the same, but smaller. Faded banners still hang on the fence. The parking lot's cracked with weeds. I used to rush here, always late, always checking emails at red lights. I park, get out, walk to the bleachers behind the auditorium. I sit, and I imagine it again, her up there, singing, looking into the crowd. This time, I let myself really feel it. The guilt, the missed air between us, the things I traded away, believing I could earn them back later. But time is a terrible negotiator. Still, here I am, a man in his 50s, sitting alone on old metal bleachers, hoping a little late presence might mean something. And you know what? It does, because it means something to me. A few days later, I'm reorganizing boxes in the garage when I find something else, a little black camcorder in an old shoebox labeled Mags 2007-2012. I sit down on the concrete, dust rising like ghosts, and fumble with the charger like it's a diffusal wire on a bomb. 20 minutes later, the blue light blinks to life. I don't even think. I just press play. The first clip is Maggie in the backyard, maybe 5 or 6, with a pink butterfly net and no butterflies. She's running in circles, chasing nothing, laughing like the world has no ceiling. Behind the camera, I hear myself say, "Get 'em, Mags." And she yells, "They're invisible ones, Daddy." She was always catching invisible things. I sit there, hunched on a milk crate, watching years unfold in jittery handheld footage birthday candles. Dance recitals, yes. The ones I did attend. A lost tooth, a scraped knee, her 8th grade graduation. And then there's one clip I didn't remember recording. She's maybe 10. The camera's already rolling when she walks into frame, holding a popsicle and wearing a serious expression that doesn't quite match the SpongeBob t-shirt she's got on. "Dad," she says to the lens, "if you ever watch this, I just want you to know something." She squints, like the sun is in her eyes. Or maybe the words are heavier than she thought. "Sometimes I pretend you're at work when you're not. It's easier that way. But I still love you. I just don't always know what to do with the loving part." She shrugs. "Okay. Bye." The video cuts there. I sit motionless for maybe a full minute, then say out loud, "Jesus." The garage feels suddenly small. Or maybe I just feel big in all the wrong ways. That's the thing people don't tell you about parenting. You think the big failures are dramatic, the slammed doors, the screaming matches, the leaving. But sometimes, it's the soft spaces where love isn't returned that echo the loudest. The normal Tuesdays you didn't show up for. I rewind the video, watch it again. And this time, I don't cry. Instead, I whisper, "You were brave, kiddo, braver than me." That night, I dig out my old upright piano. Maggie used to bang on the keys like it owed her money. Now it's covered in dust and a half-finished coffee mug ring. I sit down, and for the first time in a long while, I play, clumsily, at first. Fingers stumbling over notes like they forgot how to be hands. But the muscle memory is still there, hiding in my bones like some small forgiveness waiting to be let out. I don't even realize I'm playing her lullaby until I'm halfway through. The one I used to hum when she couldn't sleep, unless my shadow was visible by the nightlight. It's a simple melody, not one I ever wrote down, but it always brought her calm. And maybe now, it's doing the same for me. I leave the keys still ringing and send her a voice memo. "Hey, I just watched one of your old videos. You always had a way with truth. Just wanted to say, thanks for keeping the light on for me. Even when I didn't come home, I almost add, I love you, but decide not to. Not because it's not true, but because I want those words to land in person someday. Not through a tinny voice recording, not through screens. Later. She texts back a photo of her new apartment, lime green kitchen and all, with a caption, "First meal, made overcooked rice and guilt-free eggs. You'd be proud," I reply. Proud is my default setting these days, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm not pretending, because pride is easier than regret, because even if I was late to the stage, I'm still here in the audience, and maybe that matters. The next weekend, I drive out to her place. It's a quiet Sunday morning, the kind that smells like burnt toast and unspoken promises. I stop by a bakery on the way Maggie's favorite as a kid, the one where she used to order a chocolate croissant but only eat the flaky outer shell. Leaving the inside like a defeated little cave, I buy two, no bag, let them sit in the passenger seat, like I'm bringing peace offerings to an old friend who still doesn't trust me. When I pull up to her apartment building, a boxy mid-rise with gray siding and hopeful balconies, I suddenly feel like I'm 17 again, walking up to a girl's porch with a dumb grin and no clue what to say. I don't text her, just knock. She opens the door, barefoot, in an oversized hoodie that probably wasn't hers originally, and a mug that says "World's Okayest Cook." "Hey," she says, blinking like she wasn't expecting me so early. "Croissant delivery," I offer, lifting the pastries like they're medals of honor. I left the middle untouched. For nostalgia. She cracks a half smile and steps aside to let me in. Her apartment smells like cinnamon and lemon dish soap. There's a pile of unfolded laundry on the couch, a plant dying on the windowsill, and the kind of organized chaos that says she's doing okay, maybe not perfect, but not pretending to be perfect either. I sit on a wooden stool at her breakfast bar while she puts the kettle on. We talk about small things at first. Work, her broken shower head, my latest attempt to fix the garage door. She tells me she's been learning to cook real meals, chicken that isn't dry, vegetables that aren't sad. Then, after a long pause, she says, "I heard the lullaby." I look up. "Yeah, you played it better than I remember. Don't lie to your father." I fumbled half the notes. She shrugs. Still worked. We sit in silence for a while. The good kind. The kind that stretches but doesn't strain. She eventually says, "You know, I was mad at you for a long time. I figured, but not just for the big stuff. Not just the concerts or the missed dinners. It was the way you looked through me sometimes. Like I was a stranger you lived with." I nod slowly. "That's fair. And I knew you loved me. I really did. But I think I stopped trusting the way you showed it." There's no defense, no clever reply. Just a quiet ache that settles in my chest like dust in an old piano. "I'm sorry," I say, "for all of it. Even the things I didn't know I was doing wrong." She looks at me for a long second, then reaches across the counter, her pinky hooking around mine like she used to do when she was scared of thunder. "We're okay now," she says softly. I nod again, this time with something lighter in my throat. She pours tea for both of us and puts on some vinyl she found at a thrift store. Jazz, scratchy and low. The sun shifts on the wall behind her, catching in her hair. And for a second, I see the little girl with invisible butterflies again. We end up sitting on the couch, watching a terrible baking show. She critiques the frosting techniques with absurd authority. I pretend I know what a ganache is. She throws a pillow at me when I ask if fondant is edible, or just edible adjacent plastic. There's something easy here, something I forgot how to hold when I leave. She walks me out and hugs me longer than expected. Not dramatic, just warm, intentional. Before I get in the car, I say, "Next time, let me help you cook. I make a mean overcooked rice." She grins. "Deal. But you're in charge of dish duty." Figures. I drive home feeling like something has shifted. Not completely fixed, but realigned, like we'd both learned how to speak a new language made out of old words. That night, I sleep with the windows open. There's a breeze, soft and cool, carrying the kind of peace you don't announce, the kind that just shows up and stays a while. The next time I visit Maggie, it rains, not the soft, romantic kind. The kind that drums on your roof like it's got something to prove, makes you drive 10 under the speed limit, and fills your shoes the moment you step out of the car. By the time I get to her door, I'm soaked. She opens it and immediately laughs, one of those genuine, belly-deep laughs that makes you feel like you accidentally did something right. "You look like a soggy raccoon," she says, handing me a towel. "Only the finest guests drip on your welcome mat." She rolls her eyes, but she's still smiling. And honestly, that feels like winning the lottery. We cooked dinner together that night. Well, sort of. I mostly peel things and set timers while she takes control of the stove like a tiny, bossy general. The kitchen fogs with steam and garlic and something she calls experimental stew, which sounds mildly threatening but ends up tasting like comfort. While we eat, she puts on that same jazz record, a different song this time, slower, with a saxophone that sounds like someone remembering something they're too afraid to say out loud. We don't talk much, but when we do, it's about real things now. Her job, her dreams, my back pain, and how I pretend it doesn't exist. Her old roommate, who used to alphabetize the spice rack and cry over commercials. At one point, she says, "I always thought you'd be the last person to admit you were wrong." I pause. Spoon midair. "Yeah, me too." Me. She smirks. "Growth looks weird on you. You should see how I look in yoga class." We laugh. And this time, it doesn't have that thin layer of trying too hard later. She pulls out a box from under her coffee table. It's filled with old photos, ticket stubs, birthday cards. I recognize a note I wrote her once in 5th grade, purple gel pen, misspelled words. A crooked smiley face in the corner. "You kept this?" I ask. She shrugs. "It was the only time you ever tried cursive." We go through the box for hours. It's like opening a time capsule, buried under years of awkward silence and missed chances. There's a picture of her in her Halloween astronaut costume, one I promised to frame and never did. A tooth she lost at age 6, still taped inside a folded napkin. A mixed CD she made me when she was 12, labeled "Dad's Driving Tunes Do Not Skip Number 4. I ask, "What was track 4? She grins. "Tiny Dancer. You used to sing it with your eyes closed." Well, that's because I didn't know the words. Still don't. We fall into a quiet moment again. This one thicker, more tangled. I run my finger along the edge of the photo stack and ask without looking up, "Did I really miss everything?" She doesn't answer right away. Then she says, "You missed a lot, but not everything." That one sentence hits harder than it should, because she's right. I did miss the recitals, the dances, the awkward middle school plays. But I also sat outside her door when she had her first heartbreak. Even if I didn't say the right things, I taught her to ride a bike. Even if I was too impatient about it. I brought her soup when she had the flu in college. Even if I left early for a meeting. Maybe love isn't just about presence. Maybe it's about noticing when it counts and owning it when you didn't. Before I leave that night, she gives me the mixed CD. "You still have a car with a CD player. I've got a glove box full of regrets and a 6-disc changer. I'm basically vintage." She hugs me again. Not out of obligation, not even out of routine. This one's different. This one feels like a page turning. I drive home slowly, the rain still coming down in sheets. I pop the CD in and let it play from the beginning. Her handwriting is still on the disc bubble letters, and a little heart over the I in driving. Tiny Dancer comes on and I sing along, badly, loudly, with all the wrong lyrics and all the right reasons. When I get home, I pull into the driveway and just sit there, letting the last note fade, letting the moment land. And for once, I don't feel like I need to fix anything. I just sit with it. The wait, the grace, the second chance. The next morning, I wake up and the world feels quieter. Not literally, it's garbage day, and my neighbor across the street is still the reigning champion of slamming his bins with all the fury of a man betrayed by recycling. But inside me, there's a stillness I haven't felt in years. It's like something stopped buzzing. I pour my coffee and sit on the back porch, where the wood creaks just slightly under my weight. I've always loved this spot, the way the sunlight filters through the maple leaves, the way the breeze carries the faintest smell of wet soil and grass. It reminds me of Sunday mornings when Maggie was a kid. She'd sit cross-legged beside me, barefoot, eating cereal straight from the box and asking questions like, do fish sleep with their eyes open now? I sip my coffee alone, but the silence doesn't feel like a punishment anymore. It feels earned, like a space I can breathe in. Later that day, I go digging through the closet in my office. There's a box I haven't touched in at least a decade, buried under old tax returns and a forgotten set of golf clubs. Inside, Maggie's old baby blanket, a pair of her first shoes, a crayon drawing of me with a smile that takes up half my face. She gave it to me on Father's Day when she was 5. I remember pretending to cry when I opened it. She looked so proud. I don't know why I kept it all, maybe even when I was failing. Some part of me knew I wanted to remember what I had to come back to. I set the blanket aside, then keep going. Underneath a stack of old receipts and Christmas cards is a little envelope. I don't recognize the handwriting, and for a second, I wonder if it's from my ex-wife or my mother. But it's addressed to Dad. Inside is a card, handwritten. It's dated the week she moved out. Dear Dad, I know things have been tense. I know you're trying, even if I don't always show it. I just need space right now. Not because I hate you, because I don't want to start hating you. Please don't stop reaching out. I'm still listening. Maggie. I sit with that card in my lap for a long time. Long enough that the coffee's gone cold. Long enough that my legs start to cramp from the way I'm sitting. She had left the door open, even back then, and I had missed it. There's something about regret that feels like looking through glass at a party you weren't invited to. You can see everything, the laughter, the dancing, the little moments, but you can't go back in and join them. But maybe if you knock gently enough, someone will open the door. That night, I call her again. No agenda, no thought you'd like this article excuse. Just, hey, I was thinking about you. She picks up on the third ring. We talk for 40 minutes about nothing and everything. Her coworker who keeps microwaving fish, my broken coffee machine, her friend's new puppy named Waffles, the fact that we both secretly like pineapple on pizza but never admitted it. At one point, I hear her yawn and say, I should let you go, she says. I don't mind. There's a pause. The good kind. The kind that sits between two people without pressing them forward or backward. Finally, I say, hey, thanks for the mix CD. I've been listening to it. She laughs. Even track 4, especially track 4. And then, like the last piece of something finally clicking into place, she says, you know, I'd come over this weekend, if you want. We could make that weird casserole you used to make. The one that looked like dog food but somehow tasted great. That's the one. I'll dig out the mystery spice blend. I hope it's not expired. No promises. We say goodnight, and I sit back, holding the phone against my chest for a second before setting it down. It's not perfect. It's not a movie ending, but it's real. It's a little thread tugging at the edge of something old and frayed, pulling just enough to make it strong again. Saturday comes, and I find myself staring at the grocery store shelves like I'm deciphering ancient hieroglyphs. Cream of mushroom soup check. Crushed fried onions somehow still exist. That spice blend, I had to scrape the label just to remember it had ever said Cajun. The woman at checkout gives me a once-over as I fumble with my debit card, and I can almost hear her thinking, "Divorced dad trying too hard?" She wouldn't be wrong. I almost make a joke about it. I'm auditioning for Most Improved Parent, but I let it sit. Not every thought needs to be voiced anymore. Back home, I clean the house like it's an Olympic sport. I even vacuum under the couch cushions, where I find a missing sock, 2 buttons, and something that might have once been cheese. It's a little horrifying, but also kind of grounding. Like, this is still life. Messy, weird, stubborn life. I set the casserole dish on the table just as the doorbell rings. It's her. Maggie stands there in jeans and a faded hoodie, holding a 6-pack of root beer and one of those shy half smiles that used to melt me when she was 5. I freeze for a second, then open the door wider. "Hey," I say. "Hey," she says. That's it, but it's enough. We eat. The casserole is exactly as awful looking and weirdly delicious as we remembered. We talk about nothing again TV shows, bad office coffee, how she once thought the dog was secretly reading her diary. I ask if she wants to see some old photos. She nods. I bring out the box. She rifles through them, laughing, pausing at the ones where her hair looked especially unfortunate. She pulls out the drawing she made, the one I kept. Her eyes soften. "You kept this?" "Of course," I say. That smile got me through some rough days. She doesn't say anything for a moment. Then she says, "I thought you didn't care." "Back then, I know. That's on me." She nods slowly. "I'm glad you reached out." "I almost didn't." "You always almost didn't," she says. Not accusing, just naming something that was already true. That hits. Harder than I expect. I lean back in my chair. I was scared. I admit, scared you'd say it was too late, that I'd already lost my chance. She looks at me, quiet again, quiet. Then, softly I thought that too. But then, I'd hear one of those dumb mix CD songs at the grocery store and wonder if you were somewhere listening to it too. I laugh. If it was track 4, I probably was. There's that smile again. Later, she helps me do the dishes. We dry our hands on mismatched towels. I ask if she wants to take the blanket home, the one from the box. She shakes her head. "No, it belongs here." And that's when it lands. This house isn't just a place where I messed up, it's where we're starting over, as she leaves. I walk her to the door. No big speech, no dramatic music, just a hug that lasts longer than usual. And for the first time in years, I don't feel like I'm hugging a memory. I'm hugging my daughter. She steps out into the night and turns back. "I'll come by next weekend. Maybe I'll bring waffles, the dog, or the breakfast food. Guess." She disappears into the dark with a wave, and I stand there for a beat longer, feeling the warmth of that tiny goodbye still sitting in the doorway. Inside, I put the dish in the sink, turn off the porch light, and sit back on the couch. My phone buzzes. A text from Maggie. Track 4 still slaps. I smile. Yeah, it really does. Word count 1038. The house feels still again, but not empty. You ever have that feeling after a long, needed conversation, the kind that starts clumsy, meanders through old wounds, and somehow ends in laughter? That's what the quiet feels like now. There's a blanket folded on the couch, the mix CD tucked into the stereo, and the casserole dish drying on the rack. None of it's fancy, but it's proof. Proof of a second chance not wasted. I leave the porch door cracked open a little tonight. Let in the breeze. It carries in that faint whisper of late summer cut grass, distant crickets, maybe someone's BBQ 3 houses over. Same kind of evening I used to miss when I was too busy running from my own silence. I know now that love doesn't always look like grand gestures or tidy endings. Sometimes Love is just showing up again, even if it's late, especially if it's late. If you're still here, listening, thank you. I hope you heard something in all this that made you feel a little less alone. And if there's someone you've been meaning to reach out to, maybe tomorrow's your Saturday casserole day. You never know what might still be waiting for you. For now, rest easy. Let the quiet hold you. Let the fan hum like soft music in the background. And know that someone out there, maybe a tired dad in an old house, is rooting for you. Good night.